Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Now, PPT is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, see, up to now we have discussed about the various parallel architecture and their performance. Now, how we use these parallel architectures? To use the parallel architecture, we have to go for the programming. So, means how we do the parallel computing using these architecture, we will discuss. So, see the issues in parallel computing. First issue is design of parallel computers. How we design parallel computers? We we have to integrate more functional unit. Means functional unit means uh, unit that may generate control signal in parallel. Unit that may done the arithmetic and logic operation in parallel. Unit through which you can refer more information simultaneously, because if we do multiple operations simultaneously, then we need uh, more information to from the memory. So we have to increase the bandwidth of the memory data transfer, or we have to use memory in such a way so that multiple information may be retrieved in same memory cycle, in, in single memory cycle. Okay, this is the case, means hardware. Next is the efficient parallel algorithm, means you must design algorithm so that we can perform the parallel computation. We must have some parallel programming model. We must have the language that support parallel programming. We must have method to evaluate the uh, performance of the algorithm that we have applied on the machine that perform the parallel computing. We may use the tools and the portability of the program from one machine to another machine. These are the basic issues that we have to consider. Now, at the end of the classification of the architecture, I have just told you about the programming environment. Means how we program such machine. So there are two ways to program such machine. Means to explore the parallelism available onto the machine. First is the first method, means you you put this very this very task to programmer. Now programmer will use the extract the parallelism in the problem for which he want to write a program, and use the language construct and express the program problem using the language construct for its parallel execution. For that, he may use any algorithm that is suitable for parallel execution. This is if we are programming such machine in this way, this type of parallelism is called explicit parallelism. But we have discussed that नाउ इट इज विजिबल, ये दिख रहा है आपको? आपको पीपीटी दिखाई दे रही है कोई एक? अच्छा,
यस सर।
ओके
यस
ओके।
सर।
यस सर।
और आप उसको बंद कर लिए, अपने म्यूट करिए। सो एक्सप्लिसिट पैरेललिज्म, एक्सप्लिसिट पैरेललिज्म का मतलब होता है कि प्रोग्रामर प्रॉब्लम में से पैरेललिज्म एक्सट्रैक्ट करे और एल्गोरिथम जो कि पैरेलल कंप्यूटेशन सपोर्ट करते हैं, लैंग्वेज जो कि पैरेलल प्रोग्रामिंग सपोर्ट करती हैं, उसको यूज करते हुए पैरेलल प्रोग्राम लिखे। But in the just see what happened if we switch to this very type of programming of such these machines, then you will not get the manpower to program the machine because training of the manpower is to write a program for sequential execution. So for that we put this task on compiler, because you know there are very specialized person that writes the compiler. Now it is their job only to use compiler that will to design a such compiler that will extract the implicit parallelism in the program already written by a simple programmer and generate code that may explore the hardware parallelism available onto the machine. So this type of parallelism is called implicit parallelism. Okay. Next, it is important issue. Just see, if you can do the execution in parallel, then you have to face these issues. First, partitioning of data. Since, as you know, in the case of SI MD architecture, in the case of either shared memory architecture or distributed memory architecture, in both the architecture, in shared memory, all the data that is to be manipulated are on same memory, and in distributed memory, you have to distribute the data, partition the data. So here, if it is you are using shared memory architecture and you know the data is to be manipulated by various processor, in that case the reference generated by the different processor is localized to particular area, and that will cause problem. When suppose your shared memory is designed using several modules, so all the processing element P's will generate reference to same module. But if by any means we are able to divide the data on different module, then data for one processing element may be referred by the port of the module 1, data from another processing element may be referred. So that will improve the efficiency. Otherwise, there will be contention of particular localized area. Every processing element need to refer same area, and you make that may lead to the bottleneck problem. Means you have single port, and through that port you have the limit of the bandwidth of transfer of data, and that will not able to supply, and processor has to wait. Okay. So we go for the mapping of data for the processor. Reproducibility of the result means one processor need to refer means in any processing computing, the processor need to use the data produced by another processor. Okay, so we have two mechanisms so that the target machine, the machine that needs the partially computed result of one processor may be used by another machine. Okay, and again, suppose one machine, suppose you have machine A and machine B. Machine A partially computed data from machine B, but machine B has not produced up to that instant. What will happen? The machine A will send a signal to B for that data, and machine B has not produced, so it has to wait. So in that case, we will, in the program, we have to use semaphores. Okay, means it will signal and it will just say to wait for the then scalability and predictability. Scalability means scaling the, and we predict. We will discuss this. This is just for your information. Means we have to handle these issues. Now, how we exploit parallelism? In this attributes of parallelism, in attributes of parallelism, first thing is computational granularity, means grain size. You have seen during discussion of the SEMA classification of the modern computers, we have a functional parallelism. Functional parallelism. In functional parallelism, we have three types of parallelism. One is ILP, TLP, and PLP. If we are considering instruction, ILP means instruction level parallelism, instruction, then that is ILP. And if we are considering thread for parallel execution, then thread level parallelism. If we are considering process for parallelism, then that is process level parallelism. Now in ILP, we have single instruction. In TLP, we have three, you may say 5 to 10 instruction. In PLP, you may have 100 instruction. So this is 1, 5 to 10, 100. These are the grain size. The number of instruction you are considering for parallel execution. That is called computational granularity. Okay. Now, time and space complexity, we have, for performance of any computing, we use these indicator, time and space complexity. Okay. Now we also consider the because we just see, if you are doing the sequential execution, in that case you have to bother about the time and space complexity for the efficiency of the program execution. But if you are doing the parallel execution, in that case you have to care for the communication latency also. Means communication latency means, suppose two programs are being executed, two threads are executing in parallel, or two processes are executing in parallel. This process is computing certain value A, and this value is needed by this thread. In that case, this A computed by this thread should be transmitted, communicated to this thread for its execution. So in that case, suppose it is needing data here and this is not produced, this thread is not produced, in that case it has to wait. The wait time is nothing but communication latency. Okay, or suppose it is available, then you know between this processing element and this processing element you have the interconnection network, and you may have the latency due to the interconnection network. You just consider the COMA model. We have discussed in COMA model what we have. We have this different processing element. You just see. In COMA model, what we have? We have like this COMA model. We have a processing element, local cache, and directory. This is processing element P. This is local cache, means memory, and this is directory. Okay, we have another processing element in COMA model. It's local cache and its directory, and here we have the interconnection network. It is connected. It is connected. Now suppose this processing element 1 needs some information partially computed that is not in local memory. So through this directly it will refer this processor. It is produced by this processor. In that case, the time taken to refer the information and this will wait for the information is called communication latency. Okay. Scheduling policy. We will also discuss about the scheduling policy. When suppose we have detected we have a program or problem, identified the parallel computation. Suppose this portion, and this portion of the program may be executed in parallel. So we may schedule this portion to one processor, this portion to another processor, and this portion to
सर स्क्रीन पे कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है।
दिख नहीं रहा
सर आप जो ड्रॉ कर रहे हैं शायद वो दिख नहीं रहा है।
अया ये दिख रही है पीपीटी।
हाँ सर पीपीटी तो दिख रही है, लेकिन आप ड्रॉ करके बता रहे होंगे तो वो दिख नहीं रहा है।
ड्रा करके ही बता रहे हैं।
हाँ तो सर वो ड्राइंग पार्ट वाला दिख नहीं रहा है।
अच्छा रुक जाओ, क्यों भाई, क्यों ऐसा हो गया? अच्छा रुको, ये बता दिया करो। हम तो यहाँ बता रहे, सोच रहे हैं कि तुम लोग दिख रहा है सब कुछ। हाँ ये देखो, ये ब्लैंक पीपीटी दिखी?
नो सर।
हाँ
नो सर।
एक आदमी कोई अपने में ये कर ले, वो बताता रहे। हाँ ब्लैंक पीपीटी दिख नहीं रही है? उस पर हमने
रिटन पीपीटी दिख रही सर।
हाँ
एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ पैरेललिज्म।
रुक जाओ, वेट। ब्लैंक पीपीटी दिखी?
यस सर।
दिखी।
इस पर मैंने ए लिखा, दिखा?
यस सर। हाँ सर।
यस सर।
यहाँ टॉप लेफ्ट कॉर्नर पे
Yes, sir.
हाँ
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, चलो क्या बता रहे थे? इस हम बता रहे थे कोमा. You have seen the coma model. In coma model, what do you have? As we are discussing about communication latency. In coma model, you just see we have processing element, local cache memory, and a directory. Okay. We may have another cluster in which we have processing element, local cache, and a directory. Similarly, you may have several. And here we have the interconnection network. All the cluster are connected with interconnection network. Suppose this is processing element 1 and this is processing element n. Okay. So this processing element is processing information available in this. This is local cache memory, local cache, and this is directory of 1 D1. This is directory of n. So suppose it needs processing element needs some information that is generated by that will be generated by this PEN. In that case, that information is not available in local cache, so it will refer its directory. Through directory, it will refer the information. First thing, suppose this information is available with the P, then it will refer from here. But there is difference in time, different in access speed for the information from referring. P will refer from its own cache or from the cache of other cluster. So it is only due to the inter-process communication network. Okay. Latency of the inter-process communication network. This latency may again increase if that very that very information is not generated by the processing element n. In that case, it has to further wait. So this is called communication latency. Okay. Next, go back. Load balancing. Okay, scheduling policy. Scheduling policy means, come to the sorry. You have several processing element. Now we have to schedule which instruction will be executed by this, which very thread or which very process will be executed by these three processing element. It is to be scheduled. If you consider the P6 microarchitecture, we have 5 functional units for doing the execution, and we have and P6 microarchitecture on Pentium processor. Okay, we have 5 functional units, and there is a reservation station that schedules the instruction to various functional units. Okay, and the policy adopted in this scheduling of instruction, micro instruction, is only if functional unit is idle, the reservation and in instruction pool, you have the instruction related to that very functional unit, your reservation station will allocate. Okay, so And I have told you that here it may allocate out of order. So to preserve the semantic, we have another unit that is called retirement unit given on each code that retires the instruction in same sequence as they have been generated. Okay. So scheduling policy also play major issue. We'll discuss about this also. Then load balancing, actually how we schedule it so that all the processing element has this different processing element has almost equal assignment, equal number of tasks to be performed. Okay. Now, type of parallelism you just see, we have data parallelism, task parallelism, then we have combination of data and task parallelism, stream parallelism. Data parallelism is we can divide the data, we can divide the task for its execution on different processor, we can divide the data for its manipulation through different processing element. Combination of both means we have different set of data, as in the case of MIMD architecture. This processor will do certain operation on its own set of data. This processor will do another operation on own set of data. This processor will do its own operation on another set of data. Just see how data parallelism and this differ. In the case of data parallelism, all the processing element is doing same operation on different set of data. That is called data parallelism. Okay, but combination of both means and this data parallelism may be achieved using SIMD architecture of Flinch classification. Okay, and task parallelism, it is functional parallelism. Means we have several functional units that does the execution of different tasks simultaneously, different threads simultaneously, these different instructions simultaneously. Okay, combination of both, we have several processing element that does the processing of their own set of data, and that is called combination of data and task parallelism. Then stream parallelism that we get in means we have two stream. During data manipulation, we consider two stream. One is called instruction stream and second one is called data stream. In Flinch classification is based on only this. If we do the parallel, we consider these two streams. We introduce parallelism is these two streams. Then that is stream parallelism, and you get the stream parallelism in the case of pipelining, superscalar execution, super pipeline execution. You get the stream parallelism. Now come to the here. Now condition for parallelism. Now come how we identify the parallelism among two tasks, among two streams, among two instructions. How we identify are in data. So for that we have to first see the parallelism, instruction level parallelism or thread level parallelism, functional parallelism. For that we have to identify the parallelism available in the problem or program. The program is nothing as sequence of instruction. So if you see your program consists, you write any program that has two property. First property is data flow. Second is control flow. Each and every program you have written up to now, it must have data flow and control. If you change the data flow and control flow of your program, you will lose the semantic. You will not get the desired result. Okay? And if you go for the parallel execution, in that case, you have to preserve this in data flow and control flow. Means to preserve the semantic of any problem, we have, during the parallel execution, we have to preserve its data flow and control flow. If you are able to preserve the data flow and control flow, you can do any execution in any way. Your result is intact. So first, to preserve the data flow, we have to find out the data dependence structure of your. There are two structure related to the any program. One is data dependence structure of the program and control dependence structure of the program. Data dependence structure of the program means, just see, you have written several states S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. So you mean to write this these statement that S2 will execute after S1, S3 will execute after completion of S2, and this is called data flow. Means here suppose a variable A is being computed, then you may use, suppose you have defined int A, B, C. All are 0. You have initialized A equal to B equal to C equal to D. A equal to 5. Here you may write 5. Now you write A is B plus C. Now you write B is A plus C. C is B plus A. Okay. In that case, here A, B, C. The value of A is 10. After execution of this, it is 5. It is 5. Here, value of A is 10. C is 5. And it is 15. Here, value of C is B. A is 10. B is 15. And C is 25. Okay. So it is only due to data flow. Means this A is being used here and here. This B is used by this, but this B used the previous value. In the case of C, here and here, it will use the value that is we have supplied at the time of initialization. Okay. So this is the data flow. What this sequence of statement want to convey means at the end you will get this value. Now, if you do the execution in parallel, first A is B plus C and B is A plus C. Okay. Here the value of A is 10 and value of B is, because it will use initial value, it will not use modified value. B is 10. Okay. So you will lose the semantic. Semantics of your program says the value here should be 15. So this is the due to data dependence. Similarly, this is called data dependence structure of the program. So to find out the dependence structure, we will consider three type of dependencies. One is data dependence, second one is control dependence, and third one is resource dependence. Data dependence, you have just seen due to the data flow structure of the program. Control dependence, you can again see if A is less than B, C equal to 10, else C equal to 15. The value of C is depend upon this.
Sir, why 50 is not available?
हाँ? नहीं दिख रही है?
दिख रही
बोलो
है
भाई
सर।
बोलो।
दिख रही है सर।
दिख रही है ना? चलो। Just see, if A is less than B, C is equal to 10, else C equal to 15. Okay? This is a control structure. So in this structure, the assignment to C is depend upon this predicate. A is less than B. If A is less than B, then value of C will be 10. Otherwise, its value will be 15. So this execution of this as well as this is dependent on this. This is called control structure. Similarly, in the case of loop, we have the means, you know, in each and every programming language has two type of control construct. One is decision construct, second one is the loop construct. Decision construct is used for selective execution of program segment, and loop construct is used for repeated execution of a program segment. Okay, these two control construct are available in each and every language. Okay, so come to the, now we will discuss one by one. Data dependence. Just see, we may have how many type of for parallel execution. Suppose सुनो अच्छा जाओ 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 अभी नहीं क्लास में. We have क्लास चल रही है क्या है लाइक ठीक है, ये अर्जेंट क्या है? आज क्या इसकी जरूरत है? ओके, नाउ data dependence. We have actually you just consider any computational expression. In any computational expression, you have, it is like this. Some variable and some variable are here, such as a equal to b plus c. Here we have variable a, and here you have variable b and c. For this computation, b and c, the value held by b and c are being used, and the reference of a is get modified. Okay. Now, suppose here you have this is statement S1, and this value, this A, is being used by any statement S2. Then that S2 is dependent on this S1. Okay. You can't do the parallel execution. Next thing, suppose this B is being used here, but get modified by S2. In that case, can you use execution of S? Then again, S2 is dependent on S1. Means S2, you may start the execution of means S2 after the completion of execution of this. Otherwise, what may happen? This this B, this S1 may be used by, suppose here B is any function fx, any function. So S1 may be used the value of modified value of S2. So you have to care for this. This is also a type of data dependence. Second, S1 and suppose S3. S3 is using A for another function, F2y function. Then S1 and S2 again both are modifying same location, so you can't execute in parallel. It is also a type of dependence. Then third one is, suppose in this y S3 we are using C, variable C. In that case, S1 and S3 both are using the value C. So this is also a type of dependence. So you may say we have 4 type of data dependence. First, S1 is generating certain information, and that information is getting used by S2. In that case, we call S2 is flow dependent on S1. Okay. First, data dependence. If S1 is modifying certain location and that location is being used by the subsequent statement S2, in that case it is flow dependence, and S2 is flow dependent on S1. Second is, if S2 is using certain value and that value is get modified by S1 is using certain value, and that value, that name is get modified by the statement S2. In that case, it is called, first is flow dependence, second is NT dependence. Means S1 is using some value and S2 is modifying that value, then S2 is anti-dependent on S1. Okay. Next is third is if S1 and S2 are modifying same reference, means it is as in the case of S1 and S3. S1 and S3 both are modifying reference A. In that case, that is called output dependence. Output. And fourth one is if S1 and S2 both are using same reference, then input dependence. But just see, for parallelism, we will not consider, means it will not affect the semantic, means because same value, if S1 and S2 are using same value, same reference, then value is not going to be modified. In that case, this will not bother the semantic. So we will not consider input dependence for the detection of parallelism. We concerned with flow dependence, anti-dependence, and output dependence. Apart from this, we have some unknown dependencies that cannot be determined at the time of analyzing the program for parallel execution. Because you just see, if you are using subscripted variable, okay, means you have an array A, here you are using index I, here I equal to 5, A I plus 2, and here index A 2I. So just see, if it is in S1, it is in S2. Okay. If I equal to 0, then here S1 will refer A2 and it will refer S0. S1 will A0 for S2. This is S1, this is S2 for I equal to 0. I equal to 1, it will refer 3, it will refer 2. For I equal to 2, it will refer 4, it will refer 4. For I equal to 3, it will refer 5, it will refer 6. Okay? So just see the nature. In this case, before this, here we have output dependence for iteration 2. Before this, the value is generated and then it will be used. Here, the value will be used, then it is generated. In that, here you have all three nature. Here we have the flow dependence, here output dependence, here anti-dependence. And so you can't determine at the time of analysis of the program for parallel execution. So if we have this type of parallelism, this type of dependence, then we say it is unknown dependence. Similarly, in the case of pointer variable, although now pointers are prohibited, the recent language doesn't allow pointer, and we don't have construct to write pointer. So pointer is now disallowed. You can't use pointer. But if you consider the C language, in C language, the power of C only due to this pointer capability that you have pointer using capability you have in this language. Okay, so C is so powerful, and the actual location, actual reference is get generated at the time of the execution of the program. So at the time of analysis, you can't do. This is also a one unknown type of parallelism. Okay, समय हो गया. Now, if you have any doubt, then you can ask. Otherwise, you will continue on next one.
सर टास्क पैरेललिज्म बता दीजिए.
हाँ?
टास्क पैरेललिज्म.
टास्क पैरेललिज्म देखो, जैसे कि तुमने दो प्रोसीजर, दो फंक्शन लिखे हैं जो दो काम करते हैं. ठीक, दोनों फंक्शन जो है, जैसे आपके प्रोग्राम में साइन सीरीज का भी कैलकुलेशन है, कास्ट सीरीज का भी कैलकुलेशन है. ठीक, तो जो टर्म होंगे साइन सीरीज और कास्ट सीरीज के, वो डिसजॉइंट होते हैं. हाँ, तो आप ये दोनों जो है दो टास्क करने हैं एक ही प्रोग्राम के अंदर. हाँ, तो एक प्रोसेसिंग एलिमेंट को आप कह सकते हैं कि तुम साइन सीरीज का ये करो, कंप्यूटेशन करो, और दूसरी सीरीज को आप कह सकते हैं कि आप जो है कास्ट सीरीज को कंप्यूट करो. ये तो ठीक है, लेकिन साइन सीरीज और ये देखिए, साइन सीरीज और कास्ट सीरीज दोनों को कंप्यूट करने के लिए आपको चाहिए फैक्टोरियल का कैलकुलेशन. दोनों में फैक्टोरियल यूज होता है, फैक्टोरियल ऑफ वेरियस नंबर. आपको याद है साइन सीरीज और कास्ट सीरीज?
यस सर, यूज होता है.
हाँ, तो वो फार्मूला देखिए, दोनों में फैक्टोरियल चाहिए. तो हम उस अपॉर्चुनिटी को यूज कर सकते हैं. एक अगर अब ये कम्युनिकेशन लेटेंसी होगी, हाँ, कि एक ने जैसे कि साइन n किया तो अगले को n+1 की जरूरत है, तो वो वहां से ट्रांसमिट करके साइन n का मल्टीप्लीकेशन लोकली करके दे दे और फिर ये वैल्यू वहां दे दे. हाँ, ये कम्युनिकेशन होता रहेगा. अभी क्लास चले ही बात करते हैं, रुक जाओ. समझ रहे हो? तो ये टास्क पैरेललिज्म क्या है? टास्क में दोनों तरह के थ्रेड और प्रोसेस लेवल पैरेललिज्म दोनों आती हैं. हाँ, अगर छोटा टास्क है तो अगर दो टास्क पैरेलल में एग्जीक्यूट, अभी हम लोग कैसे एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हैं पैरेलल में वो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. क्या डिपेंडेंसेज है ताकि हम पैरेलल में एग्जीक्यूट कर सकें, पैरेललिज्म कैसे एक्सप्लॉइट करें. तो जो टास्क लेवल पे है तो ग्रुप ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन वो हम ये करते हैं. एक मिनट, ये आपको दिख रहा है ना?
यस सर.
पीपीटी दिखने लगी?
ड्राइंग बोर्ड दिख रहा है सर अभी.
पीपीटी नहीं दिख रही है. यही कुछ भी और. तो अब हम कल हम अच्छी तरह समझा देंगे. हाँ, कल शुरू में याद दिलाना. वैसे हम बता दे रहे हैं कि टास्क क्या होता है कि आपने प्रोग्राम लिखा, प्रोग्राम में बहुत सारे फंक्शन यूज किए हैं. हाँ? और उन फंक्शन, सी का प्रोग्राम आप लिखते हैं, बहुत सारे लाइब्रेरी फंक्शन यूज करते हैं. अगर लाइब्रेरी फंक्शन एक दूसरे से डिपेंडेंट नहीं है तो तब आपका शूडलर क्या करेगा कि वो डिफरेंट कोर को एलोकेट कर देगा कि इस लाइब्रेरी फंक्शन का एग्जीक्यूशन ये कोर करेगा, इस लाइब्रेरी फंक्शन का एग्जीक्यूशन ये कोर करेगा. अंदर ये सब चीजें होती हैं. अगर डिपेंडेंट है तो कम्युनिकेशन, अदरवाइज वो सेम कोर को असाइन कर देगा दोनों फंक्शन, अगर छोटे टास्क हैं, लाइट वेट है. ठीक है, अभी आगे आपको पूरा बताया जाएगा कि कैसे ये शेड्यूलिंग होती है, कैसे हम शेड्यूल करते हैं इंस्ट्रक्शन, ये हम बताएंगे.
ओके सर.
और बताइए, क्योंकि हम तो हवा में पढ़ा रहे हैं, आप लोग बस उसको समझते जाइए. चलिए ठीक है, धन्यवाद। अब आप दूसरा क्लास करिए।